Hi friends, I'm back. I'm back to Perpetuity Farm making a video for you again. We have been really busy in the last few months trying to get me through the last part of my law degree, which it was only a few days ago, maybe a week ago, that I did my very last ever assessment for my degree, which is really exciting. I'm so glad that that's finished. It's been a really, really long time coming. And I'm really glad to be back here, able to make content for you again and to be sharing the things that we've got going on. So mainly the purpose of this video is to let you know that we are back and we're making content again, but also just to give you a little bit of an update on some of the things that we've had going on. One of the things that I've been doing is trying to focus on skills that will be useful for us when we do move to the land. So that includes obviously getting a garden started and trying to practice growing things and learning how different things grow, how to make compost, and cooking and other kind of like hand skills and crafts. So I've also been doing some sewing, which I've really been enjoying. Um, and I've just been learning from watching other people's YouTube videos how to do these kinds of things. Another thing that we have been doing is browsing for land. So every now and again, I will have a look around what's available in the different areas that we're considering. Having a lot of trouble really like narrowing down a specific area that we want to move to. And I think the reason why that is because we just can't afford to buy a piece of land, especially the kind of piece of land that will have all of the like attributes that we are looking for. And so those things that we're looking for is that it's not going to be more than like 45 minutes drive to a major town. And that's for a few different reasons. One being that like we have little children and I don't feel comfortable being really far away from like an emergency department. If anything was to ever happen, an accident on the property and we needed access to like emergency care, I really don't want to be too far away from that. But also, if we are going to be running a farm business, which we hope to be doing, like selling products like fruit, vegetables, meat, other things, I don't want to be so far away from a town that it's really difficult for either customers to come to us to collect things or for us to be commuting to markets or like dropping off, like doing a delivery. So 45 minutes from a major town. But I also really would like to stay within like a 4-hour drive from Sydney. And again, same reason, if we're wanting to have a product that we're selling, there's a lot of people, a lot of customers potentially who live in the Sydney areas and the surrounding areas of Sydney. We can access those customers more easily if we are not super far away from them. If we're needing to like use like a cooler truck or anything of that kind to like transport goods to the city, if it's more than like 4 hours drive away, it really becomes something that you can't do in a day. Like you really would like to be able to drive to Sydney or to Sydney areas, do like drop-offs for customers, and then be able to drive back and do it in a day. Because as soon as you have to start like staying overnight, it just makes it like so much more complicated. So there are two things that we've been doing, like browsing at land, considering options and areas, as well as, trying to practice skills and things that we'll need. Another thing that I've been doing is just trying to consume information and learn as many things as possible. So I've been listening to some audiobooks. I've listened to 2 books by Matthew Evans. The first one is on eating meat, and it's all about our meat system in Australia, and talks also about the system in America and the way that like conventional practices like raise animals and how they are like butchered and processed and put on the shelf in the supermarkets. And he also talks about other ways to do this more like sustainably, more ethically. And the other book that Matthew Evans wrote that I listened to was called Soil, and it's all about like the complex systems and like the worms and all of the other microorganisms and things that live in our soil, and how important they are for us to be growing healthy food, and how a lot of the conventional farming practices are destroying our soils. And he gives some insight about things that we could be doing to prevent that. And the other books that I've been listening to also, Joel Salatin's book. He has 2 books on, I think the original one is called You Can Farm, and I can't forget the name of the book. I'll put it in the description. He's brought out another book to add on to this book. So he very clearly states that like the second book is not like a better version of the first book. It's like in addition to it. And he just talks about business and farming and how you can make a farming business and how to be successful. And I really, really loved those books. There's so much practical common sense knowledge in those books about marketing and how to choose customers and how to choose what your business is going to like focus on, how to build a business from scratch, how to not spend money as a business on things that you don't need, how to be frugal. And a lot of these things that he talks about in like running a business, I think also translate into getting ready to like run a business. Like these are things that you should be thinking about now and trying to implement now. Like you don't just wait until you're on the property and we're here now. What do we need to do? You need to really have this stuff in mind and be trying to practice these things before you get there, in my opinion. And so the last book of his that I've been listening to is about raising chickens, meat birds, how to make, I think it's called Poultry Profits. And it's just, it's his method for raising chickens to sell as meat. And that's something that I really want to do. I think it's probably going to be one of the first things that we do when we get to the land in terms of creating a product to sell, because chickens grow fast and you can turn over a product and sell and make money in about 12 weeks from when you first get the chicks. So I think that's going to be how we start off when we get to the land, chickens. I'm really sorry how much talking there is. I feel like I'm just standing still and it's probably a little bit boring for you all, but there's just so many things that I want to tell you about what I'm doing and what I'm thinking. The last thing that I just wanted to mention before I take you outside and show you the garden is something that I heard on another channel recently, and it's about advice on how to get to buying a piece of land. If you can't afford it, if you don't have the money, what to do about that. And something that really struck with me was how important it is for us right now to be focusing on increasing our income and decreasing our expenses. And look, it sounds really simple, but in practice it's actually not that straightforward. So now that we've noticed that house prices are starting to plateau a little bit, some areas are even like dropping down, I think it's more important than ever that we really brace ourselves to be ready to make a purchase if the opportunity arises. It might work out really well for us if property prices drop a little bit, and we might be able to get into a market that previously we were really struggling to get into. So one of the things that I'm going to do in the next couple of weeks is I'm going to really focus on reducing our expenses through the food that we are buying. besides like paying the rent that we're paying here, the food is like the next biggest expense that we have. And I really struggle with this because I'm trying to heal some gut health problems that I have, and so I have really been prioritizing buying good quality food, buying pasture raised meat from ethical sources, from biodynamic farms, and where I can, buying like some organic things, really avoiding eating like grains, and just having a really like vegetable heavy diet with plenty of meat, plenty of good fats. But vegetable prices right now are so expensive, and it just keeps going up and up and up, and I'm having a real dilemma between prioritizing good quality food, but having a need to prioritize reducing our expenses. So I think I'm going to take a challenge over the next couple of weeks sometime to see how much I can reduce the amount of money that we're spending on our food. I might even take like maybe a $200 challenge or something. See if I can go shopping, do a meal plan, and spend only like $200 to feed our whole family for a week. If that's something that you'd be interested in me making a video on, let me know, and I can see if I can document that for you. But for now, let's grab the compost bin and go outside, and I can show you just the little bit of stuff that we have growing in the garden at the moment. Give you a quick rundown of what's in the garden at the moment. Yeah, this is my lemon tree that I made a video about a while ago. There's lots more growth on here, but we are having some problems with like this sooty like mold here. And I have been washing the leaves down with some soapy like water, but I need to come back and do that again because it's not all the way gone yet. Okay, and here we've got some blueberry bushes which are flowering and starting to fruit. So you can see, yes, little berries. I hope that we get to eat these and don't lose too many to the birds. We've got some snow peas here growing up here. I set up this chicken wire kind of like trellis not long after we moved in, because it's a really sunny spot in our yard and we don't have many of those. I've got some thyme going in a pot here, some old things left over from summer. I put some kale and bok choy starts in these pots only about a week ago, and I thought they were dead when I put them in. But they've bounced back really well. So I'm noticing a little bit of damage on some of these leaves, and I haven't noticed any white butterfly eggs, so I think it might be slugs. But maybe I'll sprinkle some eggshells in here to try to stop that. And we've got some strawberries growing in here. Hopefully we get a good harvest of those. Bit of parsley in this pot, a bit of leftover compost from the other day, and in here I've got some lettuce seeds sprouting, I believe. I had some lettuce that went to seed because I forgot to water it and it got too hot and dry, and I harvested the seeds and sprinkled them in here, but it was a mixed bag of lettuce, and so I don't actually know, like, it was not a mixed bag, it was a like a seed packet of mixed lettuce, so I don't actually know what plant the seeds are going to grow up to be. It might even be a variety of kale, like a red Russian kale or something. So I'll just keep an eye on those, and hopefully we grow something. A little bit more like strawberries over here. And look, this is that rosemary bush that we dug up and it looked really dead and we've replanted. So you can see all this new growth all over it. And I've been harvesting off this too. We're using it all the time now. So it's going really well. And I just topped it the other day with a bit of compost. I'll take you down the lower level, and we've got was a really big bunch of lemon balm growing, which has really died back. It doesn't like the cooler weather. I forget what these flowers are called, but they're so beautiful. They just don't stop flowering. They're flowering all year round. Here I've got a garlic bulb that I planted that started shooting in the kitchen. It looks like it's doing really well. I've got some spinach down here. This is rocket, all these little, it's hard to tell the difference between the plants and the weeds, but these bunches are rocket. I've got a couple of them, you can see. This one's a pretty big one. I haven't really harvested any of this, but I think it's getting big enough that I could harvest now. What else have we got over here? This is like a shallot from the kitchen that was looking sad that I put in the garden. Some leftover old beans that never grew from summer. It was actually such a bad season for growing. The amount of rain that we had really stopped a lot of the things that I had planned for out here. This is a silver beet. It's a giant leaf one, and here's the oregano is really going nuts. It's just growing so well. It smells really good. I love it. Here we go down here. This is a flower that my grandmother gave me. She had it growing in her garden and she dug it up and brought it over here. I also don't know what that one is called. And obviously mint. Some people would say crazy for putting mint in the garden and letting it go like that, but better to have mint growing everywhere than grass, I think, anyway. And look at the nasturtiums. They've just gone crazy. I started these nasturtiums from seed and they've just really taken off. I've never really grown things from seed successfully before, so it's so... Oh, look. Can you see that? Look at that. I'm going to take these bad boys off here and give them a squish on the rock, hey? Oh, I wonder if there's any more. That could be what's eating my bok choy and my kale. I wonder. I have to keep a close eye on that. I might have to net them. Yeah, so I'm really, really proud of myself to be able to have grown from seed something that's gone so prolific in the front of the garden here. It's so lovely to have around the letterbox. And it's edible. My kids love coming out here and eating that. But yeah, so there's not a whole lot happening in here. I mean, there's more than what there was when we moved in, and I had grand plans for this area. But yeah, the wet season that we just had made it really difficult. There were so many slugs. Every time I put something in the ground, it just got decimated. Thanks for watching my little update of all the things that we've got going on, and coming back to watch another video with us. I'm so excited to be back and sharing with you again. Looking forward to the videos that I'm going to make in the coming weeks. I've got so many ideas for the content. But if there is anything that you would like to see or you want to hear me talk about, let me know in the comments below. I'm really grateful for any interaction that you guys give us. Bye for now. I'll see you next time.